you ready? For September? Because it's coming. Here he comes. Draw your bow. Smoked him, man. Welcome to the next installment of the School of September series, brought to you by the Western Huntsman Podcast, in conjunction and partnership with Phelps Game Calls and Scream Extreme Mountain Gear. Elk Hunting 201. Class is in session. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast, the May installment of the School of September. Thank you guys for tuning in. This month, by popular demand and through reference, I've got somebody who I haven't had on the show yet, and he is the 2019 Men's Division World Elk Calling Champion. And I'm sure you guys have seen him around, but I asked around about him and asking, is this somebody that would do a good job for our School of September series? And everybody said a resounding yes. So welcome, my friend Jermaine Hodge. How you doing, man?
Thank you. Yep, I'm doing good. Been busy for the past 2 weeks, but I'm doing good.
What is this? I hear you're like training Olympic athletes or something. That's what Dirk said.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. So I competed for a number of years, from 2005 to 2016, to make the Olympic team. And then now I coach athletes to make the senior world team or senior Olympic team. And we're trying to bring home medals for wrestling. Wrestling,
wrestling. That's kind of what I figured. So you did this start when you were in the Army?
No, this definitely didn't start when I was in the Army. I started when I was 12 years old. Started wrestling, and I won a lot of school age stuff at a young age, and then I went on to compete on the collegiate level, and then I joined the Army. And then I started competing on the senior level. So it started a long time ago.
You've been wrestling for a long time then. That's pretty. How let me ask you something. It's kind of an off-topic question, and then we'll get back to it. But how would you describe like life as an athlete and how that relates to elk hunting? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, as a competitor, athlete, and as a hunter, I'm always striving to be like the best I can be at that particular sport, right? Mm-hmm. And nonetheless, hunting is right in my realm of like, I can't fail. I need to be successful. And that drove me to be successful on the stage and in the elk woods. So it's like hand in hand for athletes. I can't speak for everyday people, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I have ADHD, and everything I touch needs to come to gold. And if it doesn't come to gold, then I'm going to try my best to make it come to gold.
So, because I want to circle back to something you said, but I'm gonna hold off on that. That attitude, that mentality is I would assume that comes from being an athlete your entire life, and being in this environment where you're dealing with Olympic level athletes, and you travel a lot for that, and I guess that would just tie all together. So I think we should have, since it is a School of September, dive a little bit deeper into that a little bit down the road here, because I think there's a lot of application people could take from that, and when we're talking about applying it into the Elkwoods, because I think personally, you're successful, you're consistently successful hunters out there. We could talk about all the tips and strategies in the world, but what it really boils down to is they have a mindset of they don't want to quit. They're not going to quit. They show up every time. And that makes a big difference, especially when you're talking about, an elk. They're not easy. This is elk hunting. And I would venture to say, it's one of the most, not just, and I'm not talking just like the physical part of it, but it's one of the most difficult hunts you could do here in the lower 48. And so anyway, you're in Colorado. Where did you grow up in Colorado, or where are you from?
No, I'm originally from North Carolina. I did not grow up in Colorado. I didn't move to Colorado, and I got stationed in Colorado in 2005.
And you've been there ever since?
Ever since.
Does elk hunting having anything to do with the fact that you stayed there and didn't go back to North Carolina?
Has a lot to do with it, but wrestling had more to do with that than anything.
Oh, did it?
Yes, it did.
I am.
Olympic.
Oh, go ahead.
Olympic City.
So
the home of the Olympic City.
So I know nothing about that, Jermaine. Is that like a hub of where everybody goes to train? Because I guess I shouldn't say I know nothing about it, because now that you say that, I do recall wherever that is in Colorado is like a headquarters for Olympic athletes to train.
Colorado Springs.
Yep. I've got a couple friends down there. And I asked that because it's funny. You're from back east and ended up out west due to the military. I was from out west and ended up in North Carolina due to the military. And I noticed they didn't have any elk out there when they put me out there.
Yeah. Hold on. Move me.
Yeah. They're like, you're going to North Carolina. I'm like, wait a minute, man.
Hold on. I didn't sign up for this one.
So, I want to talk about, because obviously, again, this is a School of September episode. How'd you get into elk hunting, first of all?
Well, let me give you a long, short story.
Okay.
When I signed up for the military, I came in to wrestle. And I didn't come in to wrestle. I was looking for the wrestling program. And when I came in 2004. And I joined the military program, and I said, I know the military has a program that has an outstanding program. I just need to find it. Mm-hmm. And no one could point me in the right direction. I said, I'm gonna find this on my own. And lo and behold, I got stationed in Korea. And first sergeant comes out. He comes out to the formation. He sits out there in the front. He gives a laundry list of things that we can do to stay out of trouble. And he said, there's a wrestling tournament in Camp Casey. And I said, well, I'm going to go out there and beat everybody's butt and take my frustration out. Lo and behold, I went out there and dominated that competition. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for the program, and I came from a wrestling background. I came from college wrestling, so it wasn't nothing unfamiliar to me.
Sure.
So then the athletic director that ran that tournament, he was like, man, who are you? He was like, dude, he said, we had another tournament down south. He said, I want you to show up at that tournament. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll go to that tournament. As long as we ain't got nothing going on, I'll go up to the tournament. Boom. I show up at that tournament, and I entered 2 divisions in that particular tournament because they didn't have anybody in my weight class at that. They had one person in that weight class. And I said, man, what's the next weight class is up? And I was like, oh my God, 160 something. I said, Jesus, that's a little heavy for me. But I said, let's go. And I won that tournament in 2 divisions.
Sheesh,
And
man.
then he said to me, he said, this is when you fax everything over. It wasn't text. It wasn't, you know, emails or anything. It was you fax everything over. He was like, bro, hey, I want you to put your bio together and send it over to me so I can send it up so we can get you in All Army. And I didn't know what All Army was. I was like, okay, All Army? Whatever he said, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, got it done. 3 weeks later, I got orders to Fort Carson, Colorado.
No
And
kidding.
I was like, Colorado, okay, let's go. I said, we're gonna go out here and do our best. And I said, do our best. Man, everything I touch, I'm trying to win gold. I'm trying to win gold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to win gold. And
Where does that come from, Jermaine? How are you raised?
rough, rough. Parents didn't make a lot of money, and my mom always paid our way to competitions through, through wrestling, and we raised a lot of money through competition. But I think, you know, I would have to contribute a lot of it with me and my brother. Like, yo, you earn what you get, and you get what you earn.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of brotherhood, like fighting throughout our young ages. But it was a rough upbringing.
And what
But at the same time, it was a lot of love there. It was just a rough upbringing.
was hard? There was,
It was tough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I that's why I asked that. There's like this theme, when people grow up in rough circumstances, or they grow up in like a poor family, or just different types of hardships growing up. It does something to you. And there's, especially when they're not handed everything, growing up, and I think that makes an interesting person, and be like a super determined person, um, versus somebody that grew up and just kind of had everything handed to them. They don't understand how bad it can get. You know what I mean? Um,
Right, right.
it's yeah. That's always an interesting topic. But anyway, getting back to where you end up at Fort Carson. You want to turn everything to gold, and all of a sudden, before you got to this point, were you an elk hunter at that point, or is that something that came as like a result of being stationed in Colorado?
I was a hunter.
You were a hunter.
I
Did
was a hunter.
did you hunt in North Carolina growing up?
I hunted in North Carolina at so I started hunting in North Carolina at the age of 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
So ninth grade. Now, I don't know what the age was. I don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
And but I was hunting with friends, wrestling friends. They showed me a bow and arrow, right? Like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
this is how you shoot a compound bow. And I was like, man, this is cool as hell. I was like, damn. And I got stuck. I got stuck because I was fixated. ADHD set in. I'm fixated on this. I love this, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I love the aspect of let's get in the woods and let's see what we can do. And it intrigued me. Every year was different a year. Just because you thought something was going to plan out the same year, it was different. And my 12th grade year, and all of us was signed to different colleges, and I went to California. I
Mm-hmm.
went to California and and I signed with Lassen College in California, JUCO college, junior college,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I couldn't afford to hunt out of state. I couldn't, but I was with a good friend and a coach that was assistant coach, Joe Arminez. Man, that guy, he still sticks in my head, and he took me hunting and fishing everywhere.
In
He was
California,
stuck
there.
in California, Northern California. It was awesome. I didn't hunt big game, hunt a lot of small game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And loved every aspect of it. And then I left college, and then went back to North Carolina, and then I joined the army. And then the hunting thing was still there, but the wrestling thing was way more overpowering than the hunting thing. But the hunting thing was still there, and my passion was hunting. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, my passion was at the time. My passion was wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I really need to be successful as a wrestler, and I joined the military in 2004, and I got stationed in Korea, and I thought they ruined everything I had going on,
Because
but it was
Korea didn't offer the wrestling, and obviously there's probably not a hell of a lot of good hunting in Korea.
well, I wasn't hunting in Korea,
Yeah, yeah.
and but the wrestling thing was still going on because we were still doing like, yo, let's see who's the best of the best.
And that's where you showed up and just kind of showed up and participated in the tournament and won it.
Yeah, yeah, two tournaments,
Two,
two
the two.
tournaments,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so that goes on. You go to
and then
Fort
and
Carson.
then so the athletic director on the second tournament said, "Man, who are you, dude? I need your stuff." That was back when fax stuff was going on, and
Mm-hmm.
so I gave him all my paperwork, like, yo, this is me, and he sent it up, and I got accepted to All Army, which is a sister program to the World Class Athlete program,
Huh.
and I got accepted to All Army, and lo and behold, first sergeant comes out, one formation. He says, Jermaine Hodge, you got orders to Fort Carson, Colorado for wrestling. And I'm like, holy smokes. Everybody's like, wow. They, jaws drop and they like, when you coming back? And I told everybody, I was still with my jaws dropped, like, is this
Mm-hmm.
happening? And I told him, I said, I'm not coming back. I said, I'm not coming back. I said, I'm coming back to get my stuff. That's it. I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm not coming back. They thought I was joking and I was laughing. I said, no, I'm not coming back. I
I
said, this is
can't.
my
I can't even imagine. Like, I think about when I was on deployment somewhere overseas when I was in the military, and
Mhm.
if somebody got called out in formation because they're going back stateside, I can't imagine, like, because I mean it's for anybody that's not been there, done that, like deployment or just being stationed overseas, it kind of sucks,
It sucks.
it's, I mean, it really sucks. And so I don't know how it was. I never went to Korea, but on all our deployments, I mean, you just kind of feel like you're a prisoner somewhere, and you're stuck
It
overseas. You just want to
sucks.
get back
It
home, and
sucks.
yeah, yeah, you're missing all the holidays, hunting seasons, all this stuff. And so to get called out and be like, hey, yeah, by the way, you got orders, you're going to Colorado, because you're a wrestler, I'll bet there was some jealousy among the ranks. And was there any, like, animosity towards you?
No, it was a lot of it was a lot of it was a lot of like I can't say animosity or nothing or jealousy. It was questions. Everybody had questions. Like, okay, is this real?
Mm-hmm.
Is he really? And then when I told them, I said, I'm not coming back. I'm coming. If I come back, I'm coming to get my stuff. That's it. That was reality to me. And I told them I was being sincere. I said, this is my calling.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their calling. This is my calling. I said, wrestling's first. I said, I'm going to perform. but I just need the right people to see it. So I ship out to Colorado. I get here and I show up, and back then it was like 40, 40 soldiers from different posts showing up to Fort Carson, Colorado, to the World Class Athlete Program.
Mm-hmm.
And we're competing against people that train year in, year out. And these particular ones that train year in, year out are already on the national team, the world team, and Olympic teams. So they good. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta compete against those guys. So I'm like, holy smokes, this this is another level that I've never been on. But I told him, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna work hard and let's see where this goes. I'm gonna work harder than anybody else. I'm gonna see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
And like whatever run we went on, I was first. I work hard in practice and if I got my butt beat, who cares? I worked hard. And then progression started happening. Like, you got your senior athletes that are on these world team and Olympic teams. Now I'm scoring on these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm scoring on these guys that I should not be scoring on. I should not be scoring on these guys. And then all of a sudden the head coach of the world class athlete program came up to me and said, "You want to be a part of this program?" I said, "That's why I'm here. I'm not here for all army. I'm here for this program." And he said, I need you to place top 8 at nationals. And I said, top 8 at nationals? The stuff that I've been going through, I'm good. And lo and behold, that was tough. That was tough. I
the
placed eighth. I placed eighth on my first debut for senior nationals, which is Olympic style wrestling. I placed eighth at nationals.
wow.
And from that point, I went back to Korea. I went back to get my stuff. Not to hang around. I went back to get my stuff.
Huh.
I got orders and went back to Colorado. And I signed back in Colorado to the World Class Athlete Program in 2005. And then from that journey has been quite a journey, but we can go into that too. You can just ask me any questions you want.
Well, I mean, I, I hate to go down rabbit trails when we're doing a School of September
Oh
episode,
man,
but
rabbit holes are
like
endless.
yeah, they are, and on a regular episode we go all over the place, right? I mean, we get off the topic all the time, but on this episode I try to keep it as elk related as I want, but I'm super curious. Where did that go? Like, just in a nutshell, how long did you do that for? Where did that go?
All right, so I'm going to translate this into our elk episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, 2005, I got assigned to Fort Carson, Colorado, to the Army World Class Athlete Program,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm I was surrounded. I didn't even know it. I was surrounded by elk hunters. Didn't even know it.
Hmm.
These guys got it done year in and year out, and I was like, wow. You know, I said, man, I'm a hunter too. They didn't even know it. That shit. I hunted deer, I hunted white-tailed deer and a lot of pheasant and this, that, and this and quail and whatever. And they were like, you ain't, you ain't, and you ain't dealt nothing other than elk. So they deal with elk and primarily elk in Colorado. So
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about these guys that were on the team, they were like, "What do you know about elk?" And I ain't know nothing about it. I was like, I don't know nothing. And so 2005, I was like, well, if they are hunting elk, I want to hunt elk too. And Sure enough, I missed the draw in 2005. 2006, I put in for the draw and I drew.
Hmm.
I drew on my first chance in this particular unit.
Okay, I got a question on that, Jermaine. When you are a resident in Colorado, do you have to draw every year to go, or is that something that was kind of a product of you were a non-resident, or like what do you mean, or were you drawing for like a specific tag, or I'm sorry, a limited draw tag?
No, that's a limited draw tag.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
in
Okay.
Colorado, so in Colorado, if you're in the military, you're considered a resident,
Yeah. Yeah.
a non-resident but resident.
Yep.
And so I get the resident choice, not the non-resident choice. So it wouldn't cost me as much.
Well, that's what I
So
thought, because that's how, like, when they sent me to North Carolina, I got to buy resident hunting tags. And I always hear about, Colorado's over the counter, over the counter. All I've done is fish in Colorado. I've never hunted Colorado. So that's why I asked. So you were drawn on a limited tag for
I was
Colorado.
drawn on a limited tag in Colorado as a resident, but
Mm-hmm.
non-resident because I was
Yeah,
military.
you were military.
Yeah. So you get a little bit, you get perks for being military.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
um, so I drew this tag in 2006, and everybody that was on the team, one, two, it was three of us,
Mm-hmm.
two of the buddies, and everybody was like, he ain't gonna kill one. So what I did at that point when I drew that tag is I fixated. It's ADHD, it's something in me. I fixated on being that champ, right?
Mm-hmm.
And practicing and practicing, watching as many videos and I knew where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be, right? I wanted to kill this elk. I wanted to prove to everybody that, yo, he can get it done regardless of who he is. And so I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I was able to make cow sounds with a diaphragm. And I said, I'm ready. I'm ready. September pops up. I wasn't ready. I thought I was ready, but I wasn't ready.
What do you mean you weren't ready calling wise, or I mean
I don't
obviously
think
you
I was.
had the fitness.
No, I was in shape.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was in shape. Nothing could tear down the mountains like I could.
Mm-hmm.
I could tear those mountains down. It wasn't that. It was the aspect of finding these elk and calling these elk. I thought I was able to call these elk in with a simple cow sound, but that wasn't it. I needed to make other sounds too, and I didn't have all that
Yeah.
in my arsenal. And so I started building all this stuff throughout the season beforehand, but my ability to do this was limited, and so I relied a lot on being able to locate a bull and then move in, make a diaphragm sound. And my diaphragm sounds wasn't the best, and then move in with my open reeds. And I used a lot of my open reeds because I don't know why, but my open reeds sounded really good to those bulls. I was able to kill those bulls with the open reeds for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
2 years.
Just using cow sounds.
Just using cow sounds.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to that. I mean, the first bull I ever called in was on an open reed, just
Yeah.
just mewing him in, and yeah, because it's funny you say that. Around the same time period, I had always learned growing up that you go out to hunt elk basically like you hunt a mule deer kind of thing. I was taught totally wrong, and it derailed my entire early adulthood in my elk hunting career. But and another funny thing that you said there, like it's funny, like a diaphragm call. Sometimes you can get a bull to respond right with a mew, but sometimes they don't say anything. But you you
Yeah.
you dial in that open read, that external read, and all of a
And then
sudden
they
you've
fire
got
off.
2 or 3 of them blowing back at you. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's something with I you don't I'm not I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, but what I will tell you is I think it's sometimes when you can't get them to answer, you give them a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You give them something that they haven't heard all season. Now, don't get me wrong, you get a lot of non-resident hunters that blow some calls, but they don't sound realistic.
Shoot, you get a lot of resident hunters that do that.
Exactly. Exactly.
They don't have to be non-residents.
I'm not trying to beat everybody up, but
No,
let me
it's
get
okay.
one
We
or
can beat
two
them
of
up. We totally beat them up. We can beat up all the Doug Fluties on this show. That's what we do.
'em. Yeah.
Because we
Yeah,
want them to
so
be
you
better,
get
right? We want them to know that
I
there is
want
a
them to be
problem
better.
so that they could be better next year. Because I'm sick of seeing people derail their entire hunting season because they don't know how to call in elk, and they're like educating elk and turning them in the opposite direction, and they go home all bent out of shape that they spent all this money to go on an elk hunt and didn't even get them pulled
Oh
a
my
sound off.
God. We are on the same frequency.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, so many hunters come out west,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're from West Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, wherever they may be, out west, I mean out east to come out west.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come out here and they spend all this money, drive out, and they do this, they do that. Especially, shoot, if you're coming out this year, you're gonna spend some gas prices, especially if you're driving.
Oh man.
And this year's gonna be raping a lot of people. But I'm not gonna get in a political thing about it. But what I will tell you is this: I get out here and I hear, I've been in a lot of over-the-counter units, and I hear a lot of people go out here, and it's funny, and it's funny, and you can peg them away from anybody else. Like, Jesus, that's not a bull. That is definitely not a bull. That is our Doug. That is our Doug Flutie. That is from X amount of wherever. I'm not even. No state in particular.
Yeah, I mean
But
they could be like 10 miles down the road from 10 miles
right
down,
down
and
the
they do
road,
that,
exactly.
and it's
And I'm like,
that's funny.
and I hit my head. I do the cartoon look, and I hit myself in the forehead, and I'm like, Jesus, why did I come here in this unit?
I was like, so they do that one, that real cookie cutter one where there's not really any emotion in it. It's doodly doo doodly doo, and
Yep,
then you have the other type of Doug Flutie that goes in there and it'll be dead silent, and then all of a sudden this insanely aggressive challenge bugle just erupts across the mountain. And that's what we're here to address, folks. Like, that's not how elk talk. They don't just all of a sudden go from laying down to blowing aggressive, challenge bugles across the drainage, and it's just
absolutely.
not how it works. So, let's touch on all this for a minute. Jermaine, like, give us in your mind. We talked about the calling aspect, and I feel like we're going to come back to this, because I really think that is an important aspect of September elk hunting. But in your mind, you've been doing this a long time now. You've notched a lot of tags, world champion elk caller, all these things. Like, what are some of the top 3 biggest mistakes, resident or non-resident, no matter what state? Which, by the way, have you hunted outside of Colorado for elk?
No, but I am this year.
Are you?
Yeah, I am this year. Well, we'll talk about that later, but I am this year.
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah.
am this year, but I'm not hunting. I'm just as a partner.
So maybe you can be the caller.
I am the caller.
Dude, you can come up
Oh,
to
for sure.
come on up to North Idaho. You can be my caller.
I do it. I do it for sure. I do it for sure.
So like the top 3, and I usually ask this question on School of September. What are the top 3 mistakes that you see elk hunters make every September when you're out there?
I think number one thing that they like, I would say is not being able to call. Not being able to call. Listen, um, for all the listeners, all the viewers, is elk are vocal. They're vocal all year long.
Hmm.
And not being able to communicate with them, not being able to speak a little bit of language with them, you don't have to know what they're saying because they could be speaking Russian and we're speaking English. You don't have to know what they're saying. You just have to know what they're saying when they're doing it. And I say this kindly because I've watched videos and mimic the elk exactly what they're doing when they're doing it. And mimic the elk to the T. So when
So if they're doing
when
like
when
quiet bugles, don't go blasting. I mean, kind of expand on that.
okay, so elk callers, elk hunters come out here and they go hold on, hold on. I got two things. Two things. Man, I can go into this is a deep rabbit hole. I can go in two things. So at the very beginning of September, and this is my theory on elk hunting, and I'm going to stick by it. And I imagine a lot of my good friends, really renowned elk hunters, will stay with me. Listen, at the very beginning of September, the elk are still in bachelor herds or getting ready to split up. And they've split up. Listen, a lot of the bugle sounds will pull in those bulls. Late in the season, a lot of your cow sounds will pull in bulls.
Hmm.
So throughout the middle of the season, you mix it up. So September, and I'm just speaking for September because I love archery hunt in September, and we can speak about any other month you want to because elk speak all year long.
Nope, we've got other episodes lined up for that. This is School of September, and like where you hunt, does it open? Because up here we open for elk August 30th, and it runs through September 30th. Is that pretty much the same there?
September 2nd through September 2nd through September 30th.
Okay, so basically the same thing. I want to break down the month with you real quick on like your opinion on what you consider early September to mid September to late September, because I've noticed a lot of people break that month up a little bit differently. Like they're like, early September is September 1st through 15th, and then from the 15th through the 20th, that's mid, and then the rest is late. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah,
not, sometimes it's not in everybody's mind kind of the same duration for breaking those three sections of the month down. How do you break it down?
I break it down like this. September 1st through probably the 10th.
Okay.
September 1st through the 10th. Last year threw me for a loop, but I'll
Yeah,
explain
me
that here
too.
in a minute. And I'll go down a rabbit hole here in a minute.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you how I break it down every year. September 1st through about the 10th. You have bachelor bulls and they branch off or they're still stuck together. If they branch off, it's usually late in like the seventh, eighth, ninth, or sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. They branch off then. If you want to catch a bachelor group together, you catch them early September. Now, it it plays state to state, year to year. Do not get this twisted. But I'm gonna just break this down by how I break it down by the month.
Okay.
How I'm expecting everything to go down. So early September, 1 through 5, September 1st through the 5th. September 1st through the 5th, you're going to have a bachelor group. If they're still together, they're hanging out with each other. Then they usually branch off between the 5th through the 10th, or the 10th through the 5th through the 10th, or the 5th through the 13th. They
Hmm.
branch off. They branch off. They're they're homies. They still homies, but they not communicate with each other, and the communication is really violent. It's stay your lane, stay my lane kind
Hmm.
of thing.
Hmm.
And then between the 10th through the 13th, or the 13th through about the 18th. 18th, man, I'd even stretch it out to the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go 10th through the 20th. They've either have cows or don't have cows or searching for cows. So that search in that I already have cows is already in the play. My favorite time to hunt these is usually early September before they get those cows. Now, don't. Yeah, let me.
I
We're
got
going louder,
questions.
right,
I got questions.
louder, right, louder, right, hose. All right, so that
Because I tend
10th,
to agree.
that 10th through that 18th or 20th range, they're seeking or they have cows, and then you have a lot of satellite bulls with that. Then towards the end of the season, that 20 through the 30th, you have a herd with a dominant bull. He's the herd bull, and you have a lot of satellite bulls, and then you're reaching towards the end of the rut. Now, each rut in each state goes a little longer. Some states go a little longer. I've known in Colorado, for example, that rut might go 2 weeks into October.
Mm-hmm.
It could very well do that.
Totally.
But I know this. I play it from the 1st of September, even in August, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I would say the 1st of September, break it down. Those first 5 to 10 days, those are my satellite bulls. And then at number 10 to 15 to 18 is they're seeking or they already have cows. And then you break it down to they have cows to that's that herd with satellite bulls.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes sense.
Oh
Did
yeah,
that answer that
totally,
question?
totally. So, yep, absolutely. Okay, I want to go back. Just let's hit reverse here real quick.
Okay.
Because I wanted to. I was asking you like the top 3 mistakes, right?
Top three.
And
I'm sorry, I went down a rabbit hole.
no, that was my fault. And that's totally fine. I don't care if we cover the top 3 mistakes at all. But I do want to address one thing you said, that where you're talking about, okay, what in your opinion, one of the biggest mistakes is not being a good caller. I want to talk about that in a sense of, like you're a world championship calling guy, right? You won the RMEF. It was a world championship elk calling contest,
Absolutely.
which is awesome. Like for me, I've never even competed in an elk calling contest, and I might. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'll get my butt whooped, but I'll
It's
do
good
it.
practice.
Yeah, it's great practice. But I have. There's been a lot of discussion on this show and other shows, like, you don't need to be a world class or a world championship type kind of level caller to call an elk, and I know that is true because I am not an elk championship caller, and I call in a lot of elk. So I want you to like define what you mean by that, because I'll give you some examples. I heard a story. I don't remember who told me this story, but they're on a mountain. Truck is down on the dirt road. Truck hits his brakes squeal. Sounds nothing like a real bull, but there is some similarity, right? Bull elk screams back. Another instance, I was out scouting. It's like midnight. I pulled my truck kind of off the side of the road and got out, turned the truck off, and I usually give it 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'll bugle. This is nighttime. I'm just locating, right, for the next day. Coyotes down below me start going nuts. Elk up above me bugles back. And the third example is on my property here where I live in North Idaho. I almost said North Carolina there. In North Idaho, I've got this train. In fact, I can hear a train on it right now. It's I don't know, probably 3/4 of a mile away from where I live. sitting around the campfire last September here at home, because where we moved, I don't have to really go camp anywhere. I can either go north or south or east or west, and I can find elk, right?
Right.
Train blows his whistle, and what do you think happened?
Boom.
Not
Bugle.
not one, but two different elk bugled back at the train. And so,
Right.
I am saying that to highlight that, I don't think you need to be a world-class caller, but I don't think people picked up on the fact what you were talking about, in a sense that you need to know how to use the calls more so than be a proficient elk caller. Does that make sense? Like, you have to know how to
Absolutely.
communicate with them.
Absolutely.
Can you expand on that?
Well, let me tell a story first.
Okay. I like stories.
You got me. You got me fired up. Yeah. I'm a storyteller. So last year I did not draw an elk tag at all, and my wife drew the tag, and four other buddies drew a tag, and I'm committed to helping these guys. I'm like, I don't have a tag, and I have the time off. Let's go do this. I want to see how many elk are in this particular location. Let's get it done. Well, I got my wife with me.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I already knew that, man, there's tons of elk around. So in this particular location, my wife has already killed a 340 bull, and we nicknamed that particular hill Serena's Hill. And my wife's name is Serena. So
Mm-hmm.
my wife tells me, I want to go to Serena's Hill. I say, hey, let's go to Serena's Hill then. Let's go see what's going on, and let's pop in Serena's Hill. Let's go see.
You guys named it that?
Yeah, we named that.
Okay.
We
Okay.
nicknamed that.
That's funny.
Nicknamed that.
I like that.
So we pop over this ridge. We're in the open meadow, and I throw out a bugle, location bugle. It's still dark. It's early morning. It's still dark. I throw out a location bugle. I just want to see what's answering. And then, boom, one pops off to the right. Boom, one pops off to the high left of me. And then, boom, one pops off far distant, far left of me. And I said, babe, we got to get to this tree line. I said, when we get to this tree line, I'm going to shut up. Let's just see what goes on. And then this one particular bull, that bull just kept going.
Uh-huh.
And I was listening to him. I said, man, that bull sounds like a human. I said, man, it sounds like a human. I said, that's Doug Flutie. I didn't know this. So when I parked at the trailhead, no one was there with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like no other vehicle. We parked there. We were the only vehicle there. The nearest trailhead is 2.5 miles from where we were.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean you can sneak in from a different area. I just thinking like the nearest trailhead is 2.5 miles. To get to us that soon would be like freakish. Like, yo, you gotta sprint like a cheetah or an antelope. You gotta get it. And I said, man, ain't no way. I said, this Doug Flutie. I said, he hiked up that trail, he camped out something. I was just adamant about this Doug Flutie. My wife was like, I don't know. Kind of sounds like an elk. I said, watch. When I chuckle, he's going to chuckle. So when I chuckle, ooh, 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 he chuckled. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I said, let's get down here because we already heard bull down where we wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let's beat them down there because I do not want anybody interrupting what we have going on. I said, let's beat them down there. So we haul ass down this trailhead. I said trailhead, down the wood line. Boom, get to where we want to go. And Doug Flutie is chasing us. He's chasing us. And he's going. He's chasing us. We get to this meadow, and there's this island of like this wood line of island.
Uh-huh.
Like it's
Out in
like
the
a
middle of
median.
the meadow there.
Out in the middle of the meadow, it's just island of woods. And I told my wife, I said, that's not Doug Flutie. That's a bull. I said, I'm wrong, and I'm gonna call this bull in. So I throw a bugle down, and I throw it down to make it sound like we're going downhill. And
Mm-hmm.
this bull, I see his legs. I said, oh, he's coming. I set my wife up, and I back off about 30, 40 yards.
Okay,
I
wait.
said,
Were you in the island of trees?
yes, I was in the
Okay,
island of
the
trees.
copse
I was
of
in the,
trees. The copse of
I was in
trees.
the island of trees with my
Yeah.
wife
Okay.
because we were trying to beat Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
We thought this was a human.
No, I get it. I missed the part where I remember you talked about the island of trees, but I wasn't sure if you actually went into them. So cool. Okay, keep
Yeah,
going.
we were there. We were there. We were engulfed, and my wife was like, I'm sure that's a bull, you know, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no. And then next thing you know, we got to this island of trees, and I'm like, this is a bull. And sure enough, I throw a bugle downhill. I throw the bugle downhill, and this bull answers. And I'm like, man. And I see his legs. I'm like, oh my God, this is a bull. So I back off her about 30 to 40 yards. And lo and behold, I didn't tell her nothing. I was expecting my wife to do everything. Like she's a seasoned hunter, but she's been out of the game for a little while. And I said he's gonna come up top or he's gonna swing down low. I don't know what he's gonna do. I blew this bugle downhill
Uh-huh.
with the expectations of him coming up high and looking down the hill. He swings down between these islands, he swings down low. And I'm like, shh. He comes in, I look at him. He is a huge 6x3.
Oh,
He
really?
he has he has a huge right side. His right side's huge 6x, and his left side's 3x.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Jesus, if like I'm really good at scoring bulls on the hoof, his his main beam on his right side was huge. I I would have said this bull would have broke 300 inches by 6x3, and that's unheard of.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be a
unheard of.
pretty stellar bull, man.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
And when I seen him, I said, "Oh, that's a shooter. That's a shooter all day long." I'm like, Jesus, he's freaky. He is a freaky bull. So my wife pulls back. I'm like, oh man, well, she gonna about to smoke this bull. Well, anyways, she shoots over the bull
Oh no, right over the back?
right over the back.
Oh dang.
She thought he was further than what he was.
Yeah.
Anyways, I throw my hands up. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Did he
I
bug her
said,
out after the arrow went over? He buggered
oh,
out of her?
I stopped the bull again. The arrow went over the bull, and I stopped the bull again. And then he goes out, and then he kind of ventures off. He's like, something ain't right about this.
Something smells fishy.
But let's go back. Let's circle back. You don't have to be a world champion caller.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't. You really don't.
I think that's kind of the moral of your story, if you will. That you know, this bull that you swore up and down was Doug Flutie.
He was huge. He was human.
Ended up being a big old bull. And so it's funny. You said, have you ever had an instance? This is just side note. Instance where you got a bull bugling at you, right? And he just sounds like a scrawny little bitch. You know what I mean? Just like this little. He just sounds like a little spike or something. And all of a sudden he pops out and he's giant.
Ginormous.
So I always think that I'm like kind of good at judging the size of the bull by the way he bugles, and I have found that evidence shows that I suck at it in all reality. So
no, we all suck at it. We all suck at it. So no, hey, I have some phenomenal elk hunters that say the same thing.
Yeah.
So in this particular area, the same area, is this one bull that that particular area we could draw back in the day. We can draw it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can't draw that area easy at all. So I was chasing this bull. This bull, he sounded like a moo cow. Oh, just sound like a moo cow. No bugle, nothing, nothing. Never laid eyes on this bull. Never laid eyes on this bull. And that goes on the other side of what we were talking about. Like, yeah, you sound like a wimp, but also this dude sound like a moo cow. Like, Jesus. Do we have cattle in here? No, there was no cattle in there. This dude, it was crazy. And it was a bull. So after about 3 years, I lost track of this bull. I think he may have got harvested during rifle season, but I don't know for sure. Never heard any stories about it. You know, it
Yeah, you just never know. It's crazy.
It goes to tell you, listen, you don't have to be the world champion elk caller, and you don't have to sound the best in the woods. But what I will tell you is this: better you can mimic them, the better your chances are in the woods.
Okay, that brings us to the next good point here. Let's take a quick break to give our show sponsors some well-deserved love. Let's start with Scree Extreme Mountain Gear. High-performance hunting attire and gear. Scientifically tested camo patterns. Complete layering systems. And in my opinion, the finest merino wool products to keep you warm, dry, and comfortable. It's all backed by a great company. Some of my personal favorites in the Scree lineup are the hard scrabble pants for early to mid-season, and then as it gets colder, I switch to the Kodiak pants for late season. The Bridger glassing mitts are like game changers, and I love the Nebo rain gear. Scree offers great packages on the website as bundles, like the Elk Bundle, that will completely outfit you for your favorite hunt. Oh, and my favorite part? You won't need to refinance your house to get outfitted. Try the starter bundle for less than $500. It's an insane deal. With the VIP sizing guarantee, you can exchange something that doesn't fit for free. I just had to do this for something that I got my wife. It was a little big, so I just sent it back. They covered the shipping both ways and exchanged it for the right size. So go to screegear.com and at checkout, use promo code The Western Huntsman for 15% off and free shipping. Phelps Game Calls, one thing that I love about companies that are born out of hunting is their story. Like Phelps Game Calls, the American success story that walks us through how something started small and grew into something big. Like Phelps, he started this company kind of as a hobby in his garage in 2009. Now, a little over a decade later, Phelps is one of the premier hunting call companies on the planet for good reason. They're the most realistic calls on the market, and that is saying something. Check out the AMP lineup. For predator calls like the 3-pack POR 123 or the Fawn in Distress, check those out. Turkey calls, get a diaphragm, a pot call, or a box call, and a complete line of waterfowl calls. Hit up the website and at checkout, use promo code Huntsman10 for 10% off. Phelps Game Calls, get them close. The Elk Collective. The best investment for hunting success is what's between your ears. Having elk hunting knowledge is what separates those who succeed every once in a while against those who notch tags every year. There's a very fine line there, and there's a perfect amount of time if you're listening to this now to get through the entire course before September. Improve your chances with a virtual course of over 140 videos that cover things like how to get elk tags throughout the West, scouting and e-scouting, beginner to advanced elk calling, gear, fitness, nutrition, shooting processes, hunting scenarios, strategies, and tons more. They've got some very big names on this platform that give you their personal expertise as you go through the course. It's the best way to make you the best elk hunter as you get into the woods. So go to theelkcollective.com and use promo code The Western Huntsman for $20 off. It's normally $89, so when you use my promo code, it's going to be the best $69 you've spent on elk hunting, and I guarantee you it's worth every penny. Check it out, guys. Hoffman Boots. Let me give you guys a piece of advice from a dude with many miles on his feet never skimp on quality hunting boots. Hoffman Boots is a fourth-generation, family-owned company based in North Idaho. I've been sporting a pair of Hoffmans for close to a decade. Particularly, I like the Hoffman Explorer in the 8-inch. In my most humble opinion again, Hoffman offers the most comfortable hunting boot that does the least amount of damage to my feet after several miles on the mountain. Very little break-in period on these boots, by the way. I took them right out of the box and went on a crazy elk hunt, not even a blister. For hunting, they have the Explorers and the Summit boot offered in insulated and non-insulated. And ladies, check out the new women's Hoffman Explorer 400. They also carry lineman boots, winter pack boots, logging boots, and hiking boots. Get totally outfitted at hoffmanboots.com, and at checkout, as you know it's coming, use promo code, all caps lock, Huntsman10 for 10% off. Last but not least, Tacticam. If you're interested in self-filming your hunts, whether for, memories or making hunting content, check out the Tacticam products like the Spotter LR, Tacticam 5.0, and the Film Through Scope system, all of which are available at thewesternhuntsman.com, which helps support our fight against the anti-hunting movement. But my favorite is the Tacticam Reveal cell cams. I use these cell cams all over my property, and I'm like obsessed with monitoring the wildlife in real time with these cameras. They not only text me instantly when a buck or a bear is cruising through, my reveals make for excellent security systems. I know when the FedEx dude is delivering packages way down at the bottom of our driveway. And I also know if some knucklehead shows up to try to steal them. I know when someone's trespassing or if I have the kind of wildlife roaming around that I don't want, like a coyote. And I quickly react with my cat-like reflexes. Great for trappers, great for hunters, security, anything, guys. Check it out at tacticam.com because I don't have the reveals on my website right now. Let them know I sent you. Tacticam.com. Let's get back to the show. Here we go. Hang on. There we go. Okay, I still got you, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I had a little audio issue there. That brings us to the next point that I want to talk about with you, because this, I think, would be a fun little exercise, and I've had a lot of requests for it, and I kind of explained it before we started recording there. Again, you are a world champion elk caller. I think you could agree that I've hunted with people that have won elk calling contests, not the world champion. Well, that's not true. I bear hunted with Dirk one time, Durham, and he was a world champion.
Yes,
but we weren't calling elk, so that didn't count. We tried to call a bear. Anyways, you're on that level. And then you understand the essence of how to communicate with a bull to kind of trigger their emotions, to get them to come in, to get them to respond, and all that kind of stuff. Because I think we could both agree, we've heard some so-called really good championship kind of callers that can't call in a bull to save their life.
That's right.
And so I want to talk about this emotional side of calling an elk, and then like the communication side with your bugle, because you've got your bugle sitting there, right?
Yes, I do. So
let's do this from like a scenario standpoint, Jermaine. I want to do this. I think that scenario-driven questions are a great way to get the point across, so people get a lot out of it, and that's just what the audience has told me. So you're in the woods. I want you to kind of explain your locating process, and give us what you do, whether it's a cow sound or a bugle, like a locator bugle or whatnot, whatever you call it. And then I'll respond as a bull, and then that is where I think a lot of people get hung up. They've made a locator sound. Oh, boom! Right. They get a little response. Now what? Right? I think that a lot of people get hung up. They either get way too excited, or they panic, or they like challenge the bull, or they forget about thermals and wind and all these things. And so again, I'm just kind of feeding off of what the requests have been for these kind of episodes. So if you give us your locator bugle or noise, do you locate bugle, or do you use cow calls?
Yes, I do. But what I will tell you is I never start off with a location bugle. I never start off with a location bugle. I always start off with cow sounds. So because you never know what, like like the heat of the moment, we always talk about like, I just want to rip a bugle. Hold
Mm-hmm.
on. Why would you start screaming at a motherfucker? Like, let's be easy. It's foreplay here. It's foreplay. Listen, I I don't go to my wife and say, "Yo, let's get it on."
Yeah.
Right? We gotta start this easy. So I start off with calf and cow sounds. Calf and cow sounds. And there's as simple as this. And then I start escalating it from that point.
Okay,
Did you
so
get that?
hold on. Yep, I got it. I think it picked it up pretty good. Are you on a microphone or are you on like earbuds or something?
No, I'm on my phone.
Okay. Okay. So you do that and you don't get a response, then you're gonna go to like a locator
I'm
bugle
quiet.
by that. Is
Yep,
that what you mean by escalating?
yep.
Okay,
I'm
so
quiet.
so
I'm
do
quiet at that point.
do that, and then I wanna let off a bugle sound that is very typical for me to hear. And I think
Okay.
that if it's typical for somebody like me who sucks at this, it'll be typical for a lot of us out there, right? And so that, and then at that point, walk us through what you do based on that sound. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
go ahead with your
So
locator. Oh, go ahead.
I I'll do the cow sounds,
Mm-hmm.
and if I don't hear the bull sound off, I'll hit them with a location bugle.
Okay,
I'll stop right there.
and here's the response.
All right.
Did you hear
So
that?
yep.
I turned my mic down a
So
little bit.
yep. So at that point, I want to realize where he is. So he located back.
Mm-hmm.
He located back. I didn't even chuckle back to him. I didn't have to do anything. I just threw a location bugle. When he located back, he's saying, basically, I humanize everything. He's saying, I'm saying, hey, where you at? He's saying, I'm over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And when he says that, I'm pinpointing exactly where that sound came from. I'm using my wind and my advantage, and I'm going to move into his location using the wind in my advantage. Because the last thing you want to do is just stomp in exactly where he is and not use your wind to your advantage, because they do have really good smell,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what listen. If you move in, I've killed bulls, and bulls didn't really care what the wind was, but 99% of the time, they're paying attention to their nose.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying
I
attention to
would
their nose.
totally agree with that. Yep.
So, so he locates. Let's just say you sounded off and you located northwest, right? Northwest.
Okay.
I pinpointed where you sounded off. I said, all right, northwest. Northwest is where he sounded off, and I have a west wind. A west wind is blowing right in my face. Boom. I'm probably going to circle up south. I mean, up north, east, and come in and get on your line. If I'm not on your line, I'm probably going to use a big circle to come around from the bottom, depending on terrain. But he locates.
Now let's
That's the
give
biggest thing.
Jermaine.
Let's
Let's give everybody a time frame idea, because I think this is another thing that, and this is just somebody speaking from watching other hunters that I could tell they didn't have a ton of experience. So I'm not trying to like dog anybody here, but the panic mode that sets in when they get the response. It is my
I'm gonna call it
opinion.
the horny mode. The
Yeah,
horny
the horny
mode.
mode. What we can call it, whatever we want. They get a horny panic going. So they feel like they have to like close the distance within like 5 minutes, or it's a done deal kind of thing. But to set the stage, you heard Jermaine's initial locating call, and then you heard my bull call where, this response where it's not like he's super fired up. It was just a super casual, hey, I'm over here, right? So I'm going to say something and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. I don't need to rush to get close to that bull. I can take an
That's right.
hour to get to that sucker if I need to make sure the wind is correct. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree.
Okay.
Listen, you do not need to rush this situation. Regardless of when he sounds off, like bulls, and if they don't have, when he sounds off, if they don't have a bunch of cows, and even when they do have cows, if they don't have pressure, like human pressure
Mm-hmm.
or any other pressure, they really not moving that fast. People make it sound like they just leaping over hills and hills. They're not moving that fast.
Yeah.
The only time they move relatively fast is when they have pressure. And that's usually due to predators, hence ourselves, humans, or other predators like bears and mountain lions, or other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't move that fast. And if they don't smell you, hear you, other than hearing your elk calls, they don't really move that fast. They'll casually linger around.
Yeah. I
So
totally
if
agree.
if it takes you an hour to get around and get the wind in your favor, it takes you an hour. But I promise you, those elk are going to be within that area.
I want
They're
to
going
I
to be
want I
within
want
that.
to interject something that you just said, because it's such a good point, man. Um, the predator situation. Like if you get a response from an elk and
Mhm.
he talks back to you, there's nothing on his ass. There's no wolves.
That's
There's
right.
not a grizzly bear right there. Well, I mean, there might be a black bear hanging around or whatever. Things that don't make elk super nervous. Um, so he's not in a hurry. If he was trying to get away from predators, he would not have responded, right? So
Absolutely.
I one time, so I have like a knee issue in my left knee from that kind of dates from the military, where I sometimes get this really bad arthritis, and it when it happens, like if I'm super sedentary and I don't work it out, or I drive for 4 hours in a day or something and I just don't use it much, it gets super sore. I was having one of those kind of days on the mountain. I heard this bull respond to me, and he was way over like 800 yards straight
Hmm.
across this drainage, and it was like probably 500 feet down and 700 feet back up the other side to even get to him, which
Yeah.
meant I had to go way around this kind of the top of this drainage to get around to play the wind right. And my knee was hurting, so I'm like, you know what? Screw that bull. Hopefully he calls his cousin over here closer to me, because he sounded off, right? Well, I walk up the ridge a little further and just kind of forgot about that bull. Sat down, made lunch, like one of the peak refuels or whatever.
Yep.
Hour and a half goes by, and all of a sudden this bull, he's in the exact same spot, lets out this bugle like, "Hey, I didn't forget
Where you
about you.
at?
Where you at, man?" And
Where you at?
at this point, my knee had been feeling better because I'd been hiking uphill, and I called that sucker to, I mean, probably 17, 18 yards in front of me, and it was one of those situations where I'm standing right in the sunlight, so he breaks out of the brush, and I'm the first thing he sees. If I would have been 2 feet over in the shadows, I'd have nailed that sucker. Anyway, it was a heartbreak. But I'm just trying to
That's the
highlight the
truth.
point where, these suckers, they're just hanging out. They're not going anywhere. And
That's
so
right.
don't panic. Like, you have time. Anyway, didn't mean to take over there.
No, that you're exactly right. I mean, you listen. Let's circle back. You don't have to be a world champion elk caller to call him back.
Hmm.
Then don't feel like you're pressured because when he calls, you have time. Listen. a lot of times we get into like um that that pressure mode, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. Even even in the morning, like I give you a prime example. Like my wife, I was hunting with my wife last year, and we got into a monster bull. He's a 380 bull plus. Hopefully I get a chance to crack at him this year.
380. Holy crap, man! What
Yeah,
unit are
he's a
you hunting, man? I did get some details. No, I'm kidding.
380 bull. He's big, and I hear him, monster. He just sounds like a dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
he sounds off, and I don't move in his location. I move where I think he's going. And then I circle around this hilltop. And I say hilltop is mountains out here. I move around this mountain, looking at my onyx, paying attention to terrain, and I'm saying he's going he sounds like he's going here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just circle around here. And we get into a stellar position. But
A what
I'm
position?
low I'm lower than him.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha,
lower
gotcha.
than I'm lower than him. So I'm calling for my wife. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm just gonna lay it out. Like he laid like he has a cow that's in estrus. And what I want you to do is I want you to sit on the edge of this meadow. And I'm gonna get on the other side of this meadow. And I'm gonna lay this estrus scream out that he can't or his satellite bulls can't resist. And I lay this extra scream out. I just scream it out.
Can you demonstrate that sound for us? I'm
Yeah, I
always
can.
curious about that.
All right.
Do you
Extra
do wait, do
scream.
you do it on an external reed or do you do it with your mouth diaphragm?
No, I do it with diaphragm.
Okay, okay,
So extra scream is done with a buzz. It's just uh uh. So I'm gonna do it right now.
okay, okay.
I throw this sequence out. I throw this sequence out, and I lay it out there. And I'm gonna reflect back to the story I was telling you.
Yep.
I throw this sequence out, and I hear him. His attitude changes dramatically. And if you're in the woods long enough, you could pay attention to the bull's attitude. You might not see him, but you can vocalize what like his attitude, like his tone he's throwing out. When I throw this extra scream out, he throws out a nasty bugle. Ah! He's like, girl, get over here. And at that point, I knew he had a lot of cows with him. I heard no cows, but when he threw that ripping roar, he was like, I'm not coming to you, but I'm hearing you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept laying it down. And we had a satellite bull come in within 15 yards of my wife. 10 yards of my wife, 15 yards of me.
Jeez.
Boom. He sweeps in. It's a little 3x3. Sweeps in. My wife doesn't shoot. Good thing she doesn't shoot because we're trying to pull this big bull in. And we're we're talking about it later. I said that bull is gonna be tough to call in. He's gonna be tough to call in. Well, anyways, later on that evening, we got in close to that bull, that same bull.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know he's about a 380 bull. Anyways, that bull had about 60 cows with him. He was
Gosh.
he was ginormous. Even with me laying down those sequences, and I lay it out again.
Hmm.
I'm laying out that scream, it's extra scream. I'm letting them know I'm ready to be bred.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I laid that out and he screamed, he had so many cows that he was tending to. they were probably doing the same thing I was doing, just in a little bit lower tone.
Can I ask you a question about that call?
Yeah.
Would you use that as like a cold calling sequence, or would you recommend waiting till you know that there is a bull within the general vicinity?
Usually, I do not use my estrus screams or estrus buzz or whatever you want to call it. They're in heat. I don't use that until like mid-September.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-September. Mid-September, I know those cows are either in heat or ready to be bred. So you got those early cows that are like they're ready to be bred,
Yeah.
and they'll lay out a sequence like that. Or late September and they go into a sequence like that. Early September, I don't lay out a sequence like that. It's no necessary. Those cows are just mewing and they might throw out a couple like little buzzes, but they don't really get like the vocalizes. So on a cold calling sequence, no. I don't do it unless we talking about mid September to late September. And then I will do that.
I wonder, because I've always wondered about trying that as I've done that similarly when I know the bull is there, but I've never done that when like maybe I can't get a response on anything else kind of thing, and try it as, I don't know, a last resort, a Hail Mary, and,
Yeah,
and
why
see,
not, man?
but the,
I
the
mean,
the issue the
I
issue
throw
is
out a
shit. They
Hail
might,
Mary.
yeah, but they might come in. You don't know what direction they might come in if they don't make a peep. They just come in silent. I don't know. I'm gonna try it, man. I want to try it.
I I did that on the afternoon. So we spotted that bull. I mean, we had him. We called him a satellite bull in the afternoon. I moved in as close as I could without making a sound.
Uh huh.
I I bugled that bull. I spotted. I got him located. We moved in. I got my wife as close as we could, and on a Hail Mary, because he would not come in. On a Hail
He just
Mary,
wasn't
I
having
started
it.
I started throwing out estrus buzzes. I was throwing out everything I could. This bull, but lo and behold, this bull had like 60 cows with him. It was no way I
God,
was
that's
moving him
nuts,
from.
man. That's nuts.
He
That
had
60
so
cows.
many cows. He had so many cows. It was ridiculous.
Is
I've
that
never seen a bull that with that many cows.
okay? Well, that answers my question. I was going to say, is that like normal in Colorado? Because I've never. No, that's not
No, I've
true. I
never
mean,
seen
I've
that.
seen 30 cows
I've
with a
seen about
bull.
30. Yeah,
Yeah.
30.
Okay. I'm
Like
always
30 being your tops.
I'm always curious about like regional nuances with elk and behavior, and I know a lot of experts. They say things like, well, elk are elk, and I agree with that, but I do think that there are. Like I know in North Idaho they do not herd up like I've seen them in Utah, or like in Utah I used to see these herds of 60, 80, 90 elk, in September.
Yeah, but you're still gonna have a couple of satellite bulls, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like I'm talking
Okay.
4 or 5 bulls within that group, and you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't see that in North Idaho. And I don't know if that's because of the wolves or just because of how thick it is here, or what the deal is. But anyway, that was
Well, I
totally a.
mean, vast amount of country, and then
Hmm.
the with the wolves separating them. Yeah, it could very well play both ends.
It could also be that it's just so damn thick here. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
there are a bunch of them
yeah.
and you're only seeing 10% of them. I don't know.
No,
Um,
I think Colorado is like I don't don't take my word for example because I've seen some crazy things. We we ran into a herd about 4 years ago. Me and my wife. It's the craziest story I ever have. And to this day, I mean, I got a lot of crazy stories, but it was no rain, no sleet, nothing. And that evening before my wife got there, I had located a couple bulls in that area. And I,
hmm
I told my wife, I said, when she got there, I said, hey, I got a couple bulls located. Let's just go in there and let's see what happens. There was no rain or nothing in the forecast. We didn't pack any gear. We tried to stay as light as possible. And we went in there. It started sleeting. It started raining. It started sleeting. It started snowing. And it just got worse. And this snow became wet snow. And then I found these bulls that I located the night before. But those bulls weren't the only bulls. Those bulls returned and it just multiplied. We ran into a herd about 200. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. It
Yeah,
was an
that's a huge amount of them.
over the counter unit.
Mm-hmm.
Over the counter unit. It was nuts. So I told my wife I was already tagged out at that point. She's the only one to tag. I said, babe, we gotta stay on these elk. And no matter what I said to this herd, it did not matter. It did not matter. I could scream whatever call I wanted. It did not matter. They were in the rut, and it was multiple bulls in this unit. We seen two bulls that were over 380 fighting. We seen two bulls that were over 360 fighting.
Jeez.
We seen two fights
And this is over the
within
counter units?
over the counter. It was nuts.
Dang. We're really
It
selling
was
Colorado tonight.
it was nuts.
Yeah.
So we got into this particular point where I was like, oh my God, my wife is soaking wet. She's soaking wet from the snow because the snow is it's a wet snow.
Mm-hmm.
She's soaking
That's
wet.
slushy
And I
early fall.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. And she pulls back on about a 310 bull and she's shaking so hard. And I told her, I said, let down. I said, let down. I said, ain't no way. I said, we can't get it done. Anyways, I pulled her out of that situation because I would have had to carry her out of there. Even if she would have made the kill, I would have had to carry her out of there because she was freezing. She
Yeah.
was freezing
It's
cold.
crazy when those storms, and I mean, that can happen to anybody too. Those storms that just kind of roll in as a surprise in September. I mean, who's geared for
Oh,
nobody's got winter gear, in September. So, I suppose though, Colorado, you guys have some crazy elevations you're hunting elk at. Like we have similar in Idaho, but like you have a lot of it, right? And
right.
Utah and those elevations. I remember hunting Utah in like mid-October, and all of a sudden, this winter storm comes in, and I have like 2 miles back to camp, and by the time I get back to camp, there's like 2 feet of snow on the ground, and I'm panicking about how I'm gonna get my trailer off the mountain. That leads a question. I know I'm keeping you a little long here.
No, you're
Um,
fine.
I want to. We need to get to the lightning round of questions here, but do you do or have recommendations as to like a base camp or backcountry hunting? What's kind of your go-to with that?
Okay, so I'm not a bivy camp kind of guy,
Mm-hmm.
and you just said it. You said it. It was prime example because Colorado weather, and I think I could speak to any out west states. The the weather could really change on you in a heartbeat.
Yep.
And if you're not prepared for that, then don't go bivy camping. If you're prepared for it, then by all means. But what I don't like about bivy camping and going out deep is you limit yourself to that particular area.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to do is do a base camp and then I attack that unit. I attack that unit in all different aspects. So I'm night bugling, I'm finding these elk in different locations, and then I attack that unit with, okay, I'm gonna hit this ridge, and then when I put enough pressure on them and I haven't killed one here, then I know they have one or two choices, right? They got the
Mm-hmm.
other ridge over or the other ridge this way. And then I stay on them because we're talking about public land hunting.
Yeah.
And if you're not on them, somebody else is on them. Have
Mm-hmm.
an X amount of time to get it done. So I like to base camp. I like to have a meal at night. I like to have a cot or something to sleep on, not that ground. So
I knew we
so
were gonna
I'm
get
not
along, man. That's I don't admit it a lot on the trailer, or I mean on the podcast, but I have a camp trailer, man. I have a hunting trailer, and I freaking love
absolutely
it, man. I can come back if I need air conditioning, I got it.
you
If I need
got
the
it.
heater, I got it. I got running water, hot water, fridges, and people are like, oh, that's only what pussies do, and it's like, I lived out of my backpack for 5 years in the
Years.
Marine Corps infantry, bitch. So don't tell me
I'm
that
not
I'm a
yeah, I'm not
sissy.
living that.
Like I can hack it if I need to. And there is like there's a majestic adventure to backpack hunting, and I recommend everybody tries it and goes out and does it. But man, I'm just kind of digging the whole trailer thing. I've been doing it for years, but now where we live now, I don't know, man. I really don't need to have a camp. I mean, I just go. I've got elk on my property. Not that I hunt the property because they're not here in September. It's weird. I've got like 15 elk hanging out on the back part of my property right now that have not left their winter range, and I'm not sure why. But anyway,
Cows.
yeah. Well, no, there's a couple little bulls with them, but obviously they've dropped. But they're
Mm-hmm.
they're just young bulls, little raghorn
Mm-hmm.
size bulls. I can't find their antlers, but I know they dropped them somewhere around here. I gotta just go find them. Anyway, point being, I like that answer because I totally agree. That's what is that term? A lot of my friends have used it. Pigeonhole. They feel like when you're backpacking in, and you're on a limited hunt. When I say limited, let's say you're coming from a different state and you've only got 7 days
10
to
days.
hunt or 10 days to
7.
hunt.
Oh, 7 even worse.
Even worse, whatever time they took off work to go to this different state to hunt elk, and they want the majestic experience of backpacking in for elk, the adventure that it is, because it's been kind of glorified in the last few years or whatever. But you get back there and you're back 7-10 miles and you're pigeonholed into this area there, and there's no elk. Man, what are you gonna do? You
Exactly.
have to waste a whole day moving. And so anyway, that's my take on it. Let's get into the lightning round questions, man. You good? You good for that? You
Let's
good for
go.
another 15
Let's
minutes
go.
or
Hold
so?
on. Let me hit one on that one.
Okay, go
Let me
go
hit
for
one
it.
on that one. For all you guys that's coming out here from the East Coast, West Coast, wherever you want to come from, and you guys want to come out here and do the bivy camp and go out there 5-10 miles in, most elk are killed within a mile of the road.
Yeah,
Just letting you know.
yeah. Don't Jermaine, don't tell people that. I want them in the back
Hey,
country. So I don't want to be hauling elk out 10 miles. I know where they're at
hey,
close to the
all right,
road.
all right, all right. I extended out within 3 miles.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jermaine was not telling the truth on. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's very true. Very true. I mean, seriously,
Eh,
within a mile. Yeah. Okay. We're going into lightning round questions here, and that just means these are like one sentence answers. So we can cover some. I had some extra ones. I hope I can remember at the end because I have my list pulled up here, but I forgot to add the other two. First one is which you kind of covered this, but maybe this will strike some other information you can kind of season in there. What changes strategy-wise from week 1 of September to week 4?
yeah.
Yeah, we
So
covered that. I know.
I know I explained this. So and I touched base on this on a video that I have not dropped yet, right? So at the very beginning of September, I do a lot more bugling than I do cow calling. And the reason being is because those bulls within that first week of September, so week, from the first to the 10th, like I'm extending it out to the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So that first September 1st to the 10th, some of those bulls are still bachelor up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are not. Some of the bigger bulls are they trying to find their cows or they've already found their cows. But the ones that are bachelor up, I say this and I communicate with those guys as this is I'm moving into your neighborhood. I'm your new homie. How are you? And I throw it out there. Hey, how are you? And they don't welcome new neighbors as if those neighbors were already there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's week one, right? Those
Okay.
bachelor herds. And then we go into like that 10th through the 18th or 10th through the 15th. And I'm going to extend it out to the 18th because I like that window. 10th to the 18th, those 8 days. Those 8 days, usually within that 10th to the 18th, your big bulls already have cows. Now, I mix it up. I'm mixing up my cow sounds with my bull sounds. I don't change it up. It's cow sounds with bull sounds. More
Yeah,
cow sounds with bull
are
sounds.
you trying to like mimic a small group of like say there's a bull
I'm
when he's
trying to
got 4
sound
or 5 cows kind of thing?
absolutely.
Okay.
I locate him. He sounds off. I move in his direction, use the wind in my favor, and I want him to sound. I'm gonna mimic him, but at the same time, I want him to know I got cows too.
Okay.
And then he's pissed because he wants hit my cows too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now he's like, huh, I got 4 or 5 cows. Maybe I could have his 8 cows. So after after I intimidate him to come over, boom, that eight that 10th to the 18th window, cow and bull sounds, mix them up. Mix them up. Do not fucking change anything. Mix them up within that window. All right.
Okay.
Now we're
Hey,
talking about
real quick side note before you go into the last week there, we were just talking about those elk hanging out on my back property. They're all over the
stay there.
place right now. I've got a
Stay
Tacticam
there.
Reveal. It's a cell cam, so I get
Yep.
real time pictures. I'm gonna text you a picture. Anyway, go into the last week, and I'll text you a picture of when they were all grouped up over there. It's pretty funny.
That's crazy. So that last week, so I said that 10th to the 15th or that 10th to the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's back it up. The 15th through the end of the month. So the 15th to the 30th, or the 18th to the 30th, which gives you an extended month, like the 2 weeks. I will tell you this, in my opinion, and I stir a lot of controversy, but I don't care. I call more bulls in with calf and cow sounds throughout that end of the month than I do my bull sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
yes,
controversial.
it might be. I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
both
know.
could work, but I wouldn't say that's controversial. But I know people get super stuck on their opinions, and it's like,
They
oh no,
do.
that
They
yeah,
do.
but
Oh, that ain't gonna
we're
work.
gonna fight. We're gonna meet at the flagpole after school.
You meet at the flagpole. I'm gonna keep bugling in bulls and calling in cows.
Right?
Whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Well, towards the end of the month, I find that I I pick up my bulls, my bugle tube to locate, and then when I locate them at that particular point in the month, I already know they may have cows. I mean, may have cows,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll judge it based off the situation. But when I move into that, I'm cow sounding. But with this being said, when I move it, so I locate, let's say 15th to the end of the month, 15th to the end of the month, or 18th to the end of the month. When I bugle, he sounds off, and I move into that location, and I cow sound, and he sounds off. If he doesn't have cows, 99% of the chance he's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
If he has cows, he's gonna hang up, and I know if he hung up, then he has cows.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's the indicator for you. So he's hung up. You're seeing that he's got cows. That's why he's not coming in because.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So
Gotcha.
15th, 18th, the 15th to 18th of September to the end of the month, I'll throw out a location bugle because I told y'all once I'm not using a lot of bugle sounds
Mm-hmm.
within that month. I mean the end of the month.
The end of the month,
Boom,
yeah.
woo! I throw out, hey, where you at? He throws out that sound back to me. I move in, use the wind in my location. I throw out some cow sounds. If he hangs up, he's got cows. He's got cows.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it, he has cows. Especially if he answers to every cow sound. If he hangs up, there's only two things that happens. If he hangs up and he doesn't have cows, he got his ass whooped before. And he's skeptic about moving into some cow sound. He's like, got my butt whooped before. I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
So I use that as a reference. Now, if I move in on that same scenario, I move in and I'm throwing out these cow sounds. He sounds off. He doesn't have cow sounds. He hasn't got his butt whooped. He's probably coming in. He's coming in because you know what? He needs to breed.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to breed. He's gonna breed. He's gonna come in, and he might come in silent. He might locate. I move in. I throw some cow sounds out. He might not say nothing else, but be ready because he might sneak in
Mm-hmm.
because he's sneaking in to steal a cow from a herd bull. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a lot of scenarios you got to play out there, and you have to play these games. I mean, it's a game. It's a game of chess, not checkers. It's a game of chess.
I
Don't
like
think
that.
you're gonna go. You don't think you're gonna go in there and say, "Hey, checkmate." Nah, there's another move to be made.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and they're
All right.
and they're living this game every day,
Yeah,
365
exactly.
days a year.
You are on their turf. That is what they do for a living. And yeah, I always like that. I always like to kind of hear that theory because it is you are a part timer in their neck of the
Yeah,
woods where they are a full timer. So it's that's what makes it tough. That's what I like about it. Are you ready
it
for
makes it
question
really
2?
tough. Come on, hit me.
If you were limited to 2 hours of hunting in a day, what 2 hours do you pick?
Mm, mm, I'm going 5 to 7 p.m.
AM?
p.m.
PM. 5 to 7 p.m.
5 to
Okay.
7 p.m.
I like it. Hey, this almost everybody has a different answer on this. So I'm
5
super.
5 to 7 p.m.
And you are
And
trying
it
to get
doesn't really.
them transitioning down to their feed area. Is that that's what you're doing?
Oh, well, you only got 2 hours. I mean,
Oh,
5 to 7 p.m.
yeah.
I I say this. I think like half and half. Like I could go from like daylight, which whatever the daylight is at that particular moment in
Mm-hmm.
time, like
Mm-hmm.
6 to 8 or 7 to 9, or that last 2 hours. So the very beginning 2 hours or the last 2 hours.
Okay.
But if I had to pick it, it's warmer in the evening, so I'm gonna go
Okay.
5 to 7. Five
I
to seven.
I dig it. There's gonna be another kind of question along those lines here in a little
Okay.
bit. But number 3 or whatever, I lost count. Raining. Continue to hunt or take a break.
Nope. I hunt all through. I hunt
So
all through.
active rainstorm. Are you hunting like calling during an active rainstorm, or are you just kind of doing a little bit of you know spot and stock or still hunting whatever?
All right, let me give y'all a story before we get too deep. It was it started raining on this particular hunt, and then it started sleeting. It started sleeting right then. I stopped what I was doing. It was raining, lightning, pow, pow, pow. We was hiding underneath trees, and it stopped. I threw out a location bugle. I heard a bugle, and then all of a sudden the storm just started again. I took off down the hill. You know what followed me?
Mm-hmm.
Elk. Elk were following me down the hill. They were chasing me.
Cause you
They were
bugled.
chasing me down the hill. No, I bugled, and then all of a sudden the lightning storm. happened, and I was like, I'm getting out of here. And I started stomping and going crazy,
Uh-huh.
and cows, spikes, everything was chasing me down the hill. I stopped underneath the tree, and I had 2 or 3 spikes just pass me. I
Huh.
was like, what in the world? Listen, listen,
That's nuts.
listen. During an active storm, I'm trying to take shelter. If it's raining, I'm still hunting. But by all means, out west, lightning is no joke.
Yeah.
You can get killed out here.
Yep.
You really can get killed out here. But don't be scared of that. Just take shelter.
Yeah.
During a rainstorm, I'm hunting.
I'm thinking
During a
of
snowstorm, I'm hunting.
putting together like a whole episode on mountain hunting safety. That because of things I've seen people do over the last few years. Dude, well, I need to put this episode out because I'm worried about people. Okay, we'll go on to the next piece of or next lightning round question. Um, most critical piece of gear outside of weapon.
Uh, my boots.
Okay.
My boots. Well, outside my weapon. My
Yeah,
boots.
outside the
Listen,
weapon's too easy, so I always throw that in there.
listen. I stress this a lot. And with this would be my gloves. And if it's warm enough, I don't need my gloves, so I'm gonna go with my boots. Listen, if you don't take care of your feet out west, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're done. If your feet are chewed up, you're done. You can't get out to where those elk are. You're done. That goes for really good insoles, really good boots, whether they you go in late season or early season. I don't have insulated boots, but if you have insulated boots, that's basically late season. Taking care of your feet, it's your boots.
Okay.
I can
I
I can
agree with
I can
that.
go
I
with
agree with
I
that.
can go with Walmart gear, head to toe, besides my boots.
I know. Yep. I totally agree with that, and I've even had people challenge me on that one where it's like, oh, I could wear some, $30 Walmart boots out and go as
No,
far as you. Actually, no, you can't, man.
no, you can't.
Yeah,
No,
because
you can't.
that's always said by somebody who hasn't had a really good pair of boots.
Okay,
So there's a
small
big
story.
difference.
Small story before we go further.
Okay.
I used to buy Walmart gear,
Oh, me
like
too. Me too, man.
Walmart, Walmart little their hunting gear. When I
Hmm.
started, I
It's
but
like
I did
real
not
tree and whatever.
real tree,
Yeah.
real tree stuff. But I did not skimp on my boots.
Yep.
I did not skimp on my boots. My boots were good, but
Yep.
my gear might have been suspect. my 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 pants and shirt might have been suspect. My coat might have been suspect, but my boots wasn't suspect.
Yeah. Yep, great point. Great piece of advice. I think that one is pretty consistent with everybody that I've asked that question. Nobody said like their pack, or nobody said that they're um,
You can skimp on
GPS or
everything else.
whatever. Yeah, you really can. You really can. Not saying that you should, but the boots. If you had to choose like one piece of good gear to get you through elk season, and then skimp on everything else, it would definitely be the boots in my book for sure. Full moon
Yes.
hunting. What side of the fence are you on when it comes to full moon elk hunting?
So I'm not. I don't really. I'm like. I don't care about full moon hunting. What
See,
I
I
do.
think no. Go ahead and finish your thought, and then I want to add something to that because it's interesting how this question is getting answered now.
No, it's very controversy question, but what I do like is listen. If this question popped up on an elk shape. I was with Dan Staten.
Uh huh.
I was with Dan Staten, and the question popped up, and they asked me. I said, "Listen, you got 10 days to hunt Colorado. 10 days. What 10 days would you hunt?" And I told them, I said, I'm going to hunt the darkest 10 days that it is, not the lightest 10 days, the darkest 10 days, whether it be in the front end or the back end or the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I said, those are my, those are, that's what I want to do. I want the darkest days. It don't have to be before the full equinox or whatever. I don't care about that stuff. I know this. Elk are elk. You're going to kill elk where they are,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get into them, regardless of what time of the season, whether it's beginning of season, middle of season, late season. I know this, though. I know this, that I've killed more elk at the beginning of season, than I have killed late season. With that being said, at the beginning of season, typically, not always, typically, I find it being the darkest parts of the season.
So I'm looking at the lunar calendar. It looks like
Don't look at it this year. I don't know what it is this year. I didn't even
I'm
look at
looking.
it this year.
It looks like we got a full moon on the 10th and 11th, or some. I can't
Full
tell.
moon. So the beginning of the season is dark, right?
Yeah. So beginning of
Okay.
season is dark. We got a full moon. I can't tell if that full moon is landing on the 10th or the 11th.
Now you're gonna make me look at
And
the
then
moon.
going back dark basically around the 17th or so. So that's not a very good graphic I'm looking at. Okay, last lightning round question. Because, yeah. No,
Well,
that's what I was going to say.
Everybody's opinion is so much different on
and
that
it's
one.
it's actually, what's funny is it has really evolved over the last 5 years or so. Like if I would have
elaborate on
had,
this?
what was that?
Can I elaborate on this?
Oh, totally. Like, but
All right.
what I was going to
So
say
for-
is if I would have asked that question, if I'd had this podcast 5 years ago, everybody would have said, "Don't hunt the full moon. Don't hunt the full moon." Now it's kind of
No.
shifted. So what were you going to elaborate on?
No, like during the full moon, like full moon hunts, I change my game plans during this full. I don't change my game plans. I go out there and hunt how I hunt. I know this though. When I get up in the morning and I go out there and there's a full moon, they're gonna go to bed a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
They're gonna go to bed a little bit earlier. But what I like to do is like to stir them up right around at noon. Because I don't know anybody that wants to sit in their bed so long without being stirred up. So I go and stir up areas and I get them to fire off. And it might be noon or 1, and they be like, ah, and they'll go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I've killed multiple bulls between that noon and 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. being that is, noon to 2 o'clock because of that full moon, because they fired up and they don't want to sit in the bed too long.
Man, you just answered the next lightning round question.
Yeah, well,
Which is what's your thought on midday madness, midday hunting? Because if somebody were interviewing me and they're like, "What's your favorite time of day to hunt?" A lot of people say, sun up, sunrise, whatever. Man, I just, for some reason, I can always get them talking at that midday. Like I'm talking from 10 to 2. That's my favorite time, and maybe it's just a total like coincidental thing, but that's when I've gotten the most responses. So. You answered that.
Yes, absolutely. During the full moon, during like other other moon phases, man, I'll get them fired up in the morning. I'll get them fired up in the evening. I'm gonna fire them up anywhere I go. I'm gonna fire them up. If they there, I'm firing them up.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic, man. This has been really good. I don't know why I haven't had you on the show before yet. I've been like following you on, I don't know, Instagram or somewhere. I've just known about you for a long time. And I've always thought about, it's always like, man, I need to get Jermaine on the show. But then it hit me that you'd be perfect for the School of September, which you delivered, man. You delivered. This is great content. A lot of really good information in there. For folks listening, Jermaine Hodge _ Colorado is the Instagram handle. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Do you want people to? Can you talk about what is Colorado high altitude hunters? I can click on this link here.
Yeah. No. Uh that is an educational I say a program, educational based company that I'm trying to start up. It's at its baby stages,
Uh-huh.
and we're just guys that I hunt with, and we just want to like cut the learning curve down for newbies that are coming out to Colorado or coming out to any other state, but more so Colorado. Like I've seen and I've talked to so many people that come out to Colorado, non-residents that come out and spend all this money and go home unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why would you do that to yourself? So what I'm trying to do is cut the learning curve down. Listen,
Gotcha.
these are the tools that you need. These are the things that you can do. These are the things that I can help you do.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
pick up that beagle tube, pick up that diaphragm, pick up that open reed, start practicing, and practice year round. And then when you get out here, and if you need some help pinpointing some elk, maybe I might have a location for you.
Yeah.
Can't give you all my stuff, but maybe I got a little
Point them in the right
secrets.
direction, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm looking forward to see how that comes together for you. Again, great conversation, man. I appreciate you coming on the show.
No problem.
School of September, guys. It is now May. We have the rest of this month, and we have June, July, and August, and it's game on. So for some of you, that's coming sooner than you may think, because I know there's some states, I want to say, like Utah hunters, that opens around August 15th, if I remember right.
Yes.
So that's super early. They're going to be totally bachelored up, and I've got no advice for you. But I know dudes do it every year, so it's totally doable.
That's a tough hunt.
For the rest of the West, where it's usually end of August. Anyway, point being, guys, it's almost here. I know it always feels like it's so far away, and especially because right now I'm like focused on spring bear, but elk season is going to be here before we know it. Jermaine. Again, folks, in the show notes, Jermaine Hodge _Colorado on Instagram. Do you want them to go anywhere else? Where else can they find you, Jermaine?
They can find me on Facebook, Jermaine Hodge. Just look me up, or they can look up Colorado High Altitude Hunters on both Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Twitter fan, but we are on Twitter too.
Oh, you're on Twitter? Are you new to Twitter, or have you been on there for a while?
I got somebody else running that for me. I'm not a Twitter guy.
Is it something that's even relevant for hunters? Because I always look at Twitter like it's just for a bunch of politicians that want to talk shit.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I cannot do this. So I got one of my buddies running that for me, but he's posting stuff. He doesn't post stuff a lot, but he does post stuff, and he's posting stuff on Twitter. But honestly, the platforms that you mainly find is Facebook and Instagram, and then who knows, man? This what is this new platform? My kids got it.
I don't know. I have no idea, dude. I live in the forest.
I don't know
none
of these. I'm just so behind all this stuff.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I try this whole Instagram thing is. I mean, it's not brand new. The problem is I don't have the patience to sit down and learn how to like grow it. So it just whatever. It goes along. So anyway. The problem with the Instagram thing is, like, if I ask some, famous whatever hunter to come on my show, they always look at my Instagram, and because it's new, the followers do not align with the downloads of the show, if that makes sense. Because I don't know what I'm doing with it.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
For sure.
Anyway, don't get me started on social media shit, man.
No, you just keep pushing content out because people want to hear this stuff.
Well, right on, man. I am really looking forward to seeing how your season goes. I feel like at some point you and I are going to have to, obviously we're going to have to do this again, and I hope we can meet up somewhere at some point and actually meet in person. I think, we're not that far away. You're down in Colorado. I'm up in North Idaho. There's got to be some, I don't know if it's the calling championship where that's usually in what, Park City? Or I don't know. Somewhere.
No, that's in Park City.
Yeah, Park City.
That's in
So
Park City.
anyway, at some point we're going to meet in person. So, and we'll do this again in the future. But I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, I checked you out, made sure your references checked out. When I say I just asked, hey, have you ever heard of this guy? And they're like, yeah, you should get him on the show. He's awesome. It all came to fruition. You delivered. And again, thanks a bunch for coming on the show, dude. That was a lot of fun.
For sure. Absolutely.
You made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We sure appreciate your support. This is Jim Huntsman signing off and reminding you to check us out at Instagram at The Western Huntsman and on Facebook at The Western Huntsman. And you can also check out the website at thewesternhuntsman.com. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.